Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope you're good and great and wonderful. I was hoping to have new things to show to you today, but I don't. And I know that recently I've been talking a little bit about game design again. Just within the last month, I have sent a copy of Tuesday Night Tanks to a publisher who is interested in seeing it for consideration. And Chris bought a copy based on that video when I talked about it. And it's all because I feel like my life goes in cycles, and I find things that interest me for a while, and then I move on. But game design has been in my life for a very, very, very long time. In fact, I forgot something. I'll be right back. I designed this game when I was 17 years old. This is the first game I ever designed. It is... I think I can show the information on here. I probably won't, but I think I could. This game was designed on the backs of the playing cards for David May, who was the person who brought me along a bunch of adventures revolving around the X-Files card game at United States Playing Cards. I went to a whole bunch of conventions that year and many years after that with him, supporting United States Playing Cards, and that was really my introduction to the gaming hobby. And so this game is a two-player version of Lunch Money. At that time, there wasn't a whole lot of hobby games, and Lunch Money was really super popular, and I played it and loved it, but I wanted a way to play it two-player because I hung out with my friend Mark a lot, and we couldn't really play Lunch Money two-player. So I took David's playing cards. I said, I'm going to design a card game on the back of your playing cards. He said, sure, and I did. And then I showed it to him much later in life. And this is the first game that I designed. And this game really got me super interested in design. And for a very long time, I tried to design a lot of games. There is a game somewhere in the world, somewhere in my stash, I have a game called Monarchy, which I tried for the better part of a decade to make work. The concept behind it was Magic the Gathering, except you use dice for resources. So, you know, Ashes, Phoenix Rising, or whatever the game is. That was my concept in the late 90s to do something like that, and I never could quite get it to work. I had a game that worked, but it wasn't necessarily fun. There wasn't really a point to it. And that game evolved a lot. And in fact, it evolved into a very large, complex, not complex, but a large-ish board game about Vikings trading and rebuilding a city and pillaging and that sort of stuff. And Mayfair had that game for like 3 or 4 years before they collapsed. So game design has been a part of my life since I was 17 years old, and probably before that, if you really want to, like, I definitely programmed some custom text-based adventure games back in the day, and worked on custom maps for things like Wolfenstein and whatever. But around 2008, I went on a trip with my family, and that's when I designed a game called Scallywags. At that point, it was called Doubloons. I designed it. I play tested it one time, and I immediately sent it to a publisher, and they published it 4 years later as Scallywags, and that was my first official published game design. It was on Board Game Geek for those years as a print and play, and then it was available through the publisher. And when that happened, my brain started kicking into high gear, and I started designing games left and right. I have a whole binder full of rules and all sorts of forgotten projects. Murder Wears a Fedora was a board game I was working on. A Detective Court of board game. Black Bear Downs was, I thought, a really cool racing game. Nobody liked it. I put a lot of effort into that game. In fact, I recently just threw it away because I had a prototype printed from the Game Crafter, but I tossed it because it wasn't. It just wasn't. Nobody liked it. I thought it was great. It was basically, it was like forming poker hands to race, Uh, the entire game, the entire like thinky part of the game was revolved around hand management, and people didn't get that. Hexploration was a game I worked on for a very long time. Never did get that one to work. Princess Dice. Princess Dice is amazing. It actually is a really good game, and I at some point and rethemed it as Leathernecks, and this is still available. I think you could maybe. If it's not available on the Game Crafter, I should probably update it. But this game is a simple dice game. The original is still in this box. It was about princesses collecting fairies and rainbows and unicorns. The Marine Corps version is, you know, guns and grenades. I rethemed it just because I felt this at the time, this theme was much more approachable. In fact, I think that the princess version would do super, super well today. Like, that, come on. The board gaming industry loves stuff like this. So I should probably attempt again to find a publisher for that game. What else do we have in here? Stuff I haven't looked at in a while. Paper Route. Paper Route is definitely available on the Board Game Geek. I'm really proud of this design. This is a real-time card game. I designed a deck of cards that I called the Cardboard Arcade, and the idea was that I would design a series of games around that deck, and you would use it to play all these games. Paper Route turned out to be a real-time card game, two-player card game, where you're delivering papers, and it works really, really well. It's actually really fun to play, and it had a whole lot of really good reviews, but I never went further with the Cardboard Arcade. I even open-sourced it, hoping that other people would try to design games around it. Never happened. Project Dead End, this game, oh my god. Years of my life dedicated to that game, and never got it to work. The concept was I wanted to design a zombie game where there was player elimination, but when you were eliminated, you got turned into a zombie. And then if through you being a zombie and taking alternate actions, you could still win. So you could win by turning everybody else into zombies. So the players could lose and the zombies could win. And I tried so hard to make that game work. I think I went through about 40 or 50 different iterations of that game and never did get it to click. It worked okay, but it was just boring. Hedeby, oh, this is the game that Mayfair had for a long time. That game actually it's really good. I should probably attempt to recover that game at some point and see if I can continue it. But there are games that are out there that are available. Like Leathernecks, like I said, I think it's still available. There's Paper Route. Paper Route's right there. Very, very, very cool little game. I actually tried to sell this for a while. I made little selling flyers and pushed it out there and tried to get people to purchase it. There's other products like Madder Than a Hatter. I also did a card game version of Me Booty, or called Me Booty, of a card game version of Scallywags called Me Booty that I published, self-published, and gave away for free at Gen Con. It was a fun little experiment. And then finally, the reason that I'm talking about all this is because I know that most of you are aware that I published a game on Kickstarter called Pull. This is a trap shooting card game. It's really a trick-taking game that plays very differently from other trick-taking games. I think it's very unique, and also it's actually really good. And the reason I started this whole conversation was because I've been trying to find... Z Garcia did some like quick reviews of it on various Dice Tower videos, and I've been trying to recover those because maybe something's going to happen with this soon. I don't know yet, but I've been thinking about it. What's in this box? Oh, this is the newest version of the Viking game set in post-apocalyptic world. I like the Viking version better. I started working on this version because Mayfair was working on my original version, and I didn't want to cross-contaminate. But I have dozens of these things, and there was a point in my life where I was designing games like constantly, just non-stop. And the game that's coming in the mail, I was hoping it would be here today, but it's not. I think is a very solid design. It's lacking something small. I think what it's lacking is one more choice, or actually one more series of choices. Currently, there's kind of just one path to victory. It's build out these little areas and try to gain dominance. Like it's kind of a route. It's kind of a route building area control game. So you're building routes, but those routes are also quote areas, and you're trying to gain dominance over them, but not. I'll explain it when it gets here. But I feel like the game is still missing something. It's missing an alternate path. It's missing something else to do with your time other than this little route thing. And that's what I've been working on lately. And it feels really good to be back at it. So I think this video is really a primer for tomorrow's video. We're already at 10 minutes and I don't want to push it too far. I think that I need to talk about creativity because it's been a very long time since I've experienced it. And I think this is kind of a setup for that. So there you are. Lots of stuff. You can always check out my Game Crafter profile. If you go there and search my name, you'll find the games that are currently available for sale. And if any of them aren't available for sale, I will attempt to fix that. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is foment. It is a verb meaning to rouse or incite. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no choice or representation. Abigail Adams, second First Lady of the United States. Foment. F-O-M-E-N-T.